Hello.
Hello, hi Ruth, how you doing?
Fine, I'm just trying to get my video to work.
Good.
There you go.
Awesome. Hi Renee.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Yeah, really good. Hi Philippa.
Hello. Oh, I'm off.
We can hear you. There you are.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Hi Alison.
Hiya.
And Lisa's there as well. Hi Lisa. Lisa's undercover. She's all quiet. Right, what I'm going to do, welcome, is I've got a bit of a training before we break into questions, what's coming up for people, and we can share things that we've learned from going through interviews ourselves, things that went well, little tips and nuggets, because I know everybody's had experience of them, so we've got lots of expertise to share amongst ourselves. Hi Lisa, good to see you.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
So I'm going to just share my screen first. I'll spend there'll be a bit of a front load, and then we'll break. I'll take the slides off, and so we can see each other again. Bear with me a second. So let's have a little look here. And okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Hooray! Okay, awesome. So, welcome. I know some of you have heard me talk a bit about some of this stuff in some of the Q&A calls that we've had. So I've just pulled everything together so you've got it all in one place if you want to listen back again to it. I have got a workbook to go with this session as well, which I'll post in the membership site when I upload the recording as well. So as ever, everything is energy, and so that obviously includes the thought and emotions and beliefs that you put into your application and that you have at your interview. So in this session, you're going to learn how you can make sure you're aligned and sending out the right energy in your application for, whether it's for a promotion or for a position with a new company. And you'll learn energy techniques to support your application and, of course, aligned action tips for success. I'm sharing with you tips from myself, my own experience from successfully promoting through the organisation that I work for, and including what I learned from 2 unsuccessful applications, right from my first role there as I'd say it's like a first level manager, it's called a resource officer in that organisation, up to being a senior manager. And of course from hiring people across organisations, and that included the council, the police and the NHS, because I was involved in partnership working, so I pointed across those organisations. And then of course aligning this with energy psychology for success. And for me, when I was preparing all this together, I know that for the 2 unsuccessful applications, I completely was out of alignment with actually getting the job. But when I was in alignment with what I went for, I was a complete powerhouse of energy and got the job. So what we want to be is in complete alignment for the jobs that we're going for. So let's see if I can share my slides there. Okay, brilliant, we can move on. So the way I see it, there's 3 phases to your interview success. So phase 1, aligning your head, your heart and your hara to the job that you're in now, whilst you prepare for your next job. Phase 2 is your soulful application, I've called it. So that's the application form. And phase 3 is making your impact with your interview. So just talking briefly around phase 1, which is aligning your head, your heart and your hara. I call it, it's preparing for your someday promotion now. And I think everybody here is familiar with the head, heart and hara, but just in case somebody isn't familiar with it and is watching the replay, we have 3 different neural intelligence systems in our body. So the head, the heart and the hara, they're all sending out electromagnetic waves into our environment. So the head is our logical, clear-headed response. Our heart, that's where we're filled with feelings and the vibration going out into our aura. And our hara, that's where our courage comes from to go for our dreams and where we take action, the energy for action. And so to be in flow, we need all three to be in alignment with the action that we're taking. And you may be familiar with some of these feelings, but you know when you're out of alignment, when you say you want to do something and then you go and do the opposite, you're experiencing, let's say, an internal conflict between your thoughts, feelings and actions, or perhaps you've not acted on your dreams, goals and plans, and you do unwanted behaviours and habits and don't know why, or perhaps you have difficulty stopping and you find it difficult to make decisions, or something within you is making it difficult for you to motivate yourself to take action, or even you might be sabotaging yourself from achieving your goals, or experiencing the disempowering emotions, so the emotions on the lower end of the emotional scale, like frustration, depression, anger, anxiety, etc., etc. So this is for you if you know that whilst you love your job, you don't want to stay in the same position forever and ever. And of course, this is also for you if you're currently in a job that you're not enjoying, either because of the workload, it could be too much or too little, both are stressful, work type, or your relationships with your colleagues or manager, or it could be the time that you're actually spending in the job, you've got no time for your life, or because the financial reward you're getting isn't enough for you to be able to live the life that you'd like to have. So some aligned actions that you can take so that you can get yourself promotion ready and start to treasure the opportunity that you've got, that you're experiencing right now, is keeping track of your accomplishments, keeping track of your training, pay attention to who's getting promoted. Obviously, you can do this for an internal application. You know, what qualities and experiences do the people who get promoted have? A key one, which I'm sure you all do, but I wanted to put it in here, even if it seems like an obvious one, is to make sure your managers know that you want to be promoted so they can support you in getting the right experience and developing your skills. And looking for development opportunities where you can add value that's above your core role. And I always say to people, be the person that you'd hire for the promotion. So how do people at the level you aspire to be at behave? And where can you be like that? And what do you need to do to become that person already? So for example, what I used to see a lot within my workplace was people going for promotions at work, but talking as if they're still doing the same job. So rather than talking at the level of the job they're going for, they would talk at the level of the job that they were currently in. So what I mean by that is people at a head of service level speak completely differently to a frontline manager because their priorities and things they need to focus on are so different. So I hope that makes sense. The next point would be to dress for the job that you want. So if, for example, all account executives or public health consultants, directors, chief inspectors were all wearing professional attire in the office even when they don't have any meetings, then that's the culture that you need to be in alignment with so that your energy blends in there. And it's aligning your energy to your career success now. So what I've done is, as I was reflecting on this, was thinking, what beliefs are holding you back about your current career? And how might they be holding you back? So in the workbook that I've prepared for you, there is a checklist that you can use of resistant beliefs about your current positions and then some aligned beliefs as well. So use this as a checklist to see what you need to clear and align to. And a great thing that you can do, and I know some of you do this already, is to create a meditation with your own voice saying the aligned statements. So it could be, for example, I create powerful, positive attitudes of fulfillment and success. I allow this into my energy in all forms, on all levels, at all points in time. I choose to have the job that I want and to be happy when I have it. I allow this into my energy in all forms and all levels at all points in time. And the reason why I'm suggesting this is because you'll be building momentum around the step 5 alignment by doing this. And it's so powerful when you listen to your own voice saying this. So how you feel about your current job is everything, because of course you'll attract more of the same. So using the emotional scale, work your way up to find out how you feel about your current post and if there's any emotions that you need to clear before you align yourself to a positive vibration for the post that you're currently in. So this would look like, do I have any fear when I think about my current job? Do I have any grief when I think about my current job? Do I have any depression when I think about my current job? And so on, as you work your way up to boredom. So you create your list of emotions to release. And then step 3 would be, can you identify where you feel these emotions? Do you feel the fear in your solar plexus, for example, or do you feel it in your heart, etc., etc.? And if you've got a bundle of emotions there, you can ask, can I release all emotions in one go? If it's a no, then you do need to release them individually. So, for example, it might be the step 4 might be, I'm ready to release this fear that is swirling in my tummy when I think about my job. I release this from my energy in all forms and all levels at all points in time, times 3. Or you might say, I'm ready to release this weight across my chest when I feel frustration, boredom, and anger about my job. I release this from my energy in all forms and all levels at all points in time. And again, you say that at least 3 times. And then the next step is to check that you have no resistance to working your way up the emotional scale before you align to the positive feeling. So this could sound like, do I have any resistance to loving my job? If yes, release the resistance. If no, then move straight to step 5 and align. So I'm ready to allow myself to love my job. I love making an impact and taking steps along my career path. Every day I make a difference, and I allow this into my energy in all forms, on all levels, at all points in time. So we've aligned our head and our heart, and now it's our hara, and this is all about taking action. So you've decided to go for it, you're ready for the next step, and you're taking aligned action. So this will start to be where you're starting the job hunting process, requesting information on some interesting looking jobs out there, and you begin your researching the companies so that you can understand, where you are a fit for each other. And some things to think about as you gather your information and decide which ones to go for are whether your head, heart, and hara are in alignment with the job. So questions you can ask yourself are, is my head, heart, and hara in alignment with applying for this job? Have I got any resistance to this job description? And if yes, find out which bit, and then you can clear it. Have I got any resistance to this person's specification? If yes, find out which bit and clear it. And key, have I got any resistance to earning this amount of money in this job if it's a new income level for you? Have I got any resistance to applying for this job? Again, if yes, is it the resistance in the head, which might be a thought or a belief? Is it in your heart, which will be an emotion, or is it in your hara? And that's the courage and taking action. So then after clearing the resistance, you can ask, do I have any resistance to aligning to applying for this job? And if yes, of course, clear it. And then you can ask, is this in my highest interest to apply for this job? And of course, after clearing the resistance, you can align to applying for the job and then align to receiving the income. Only then fill out the application when you're fully aligned. The reason why I'm saying is the words you choose have an energy to them. And the reader of your application will feel and receive that energy. So when you do your step 5 aligning, make sure you're drawing in the emotion that you want to feel about getting the job, how it will feel. Look, confident, excited, proud, empowered, making your impact, feeling free, whatever those emotions might be, and become aware of your heart chakra expanding as you center yourself and do your step 5. Because as you know, how you feel is everything, and that is the vibration that you're sending out into the universe. So you'll then continue your research with your research into yourself. So I call this your soulful story, where I really recommend, if you haven't done personality profiling before, and I know we touch on it in one of the modules, but there's also a great tool called disc profiling, which a lot of employers use, and there's a free one that you can check out on Tony Robbins's website. I've popped the link into the workbook for you as well, because a lot of places are doing personality profiling for their recruitment. And the benefit of this, of doing it in advance, is it will raise your self-awareness, give you insight of your performance in your own role and areas for learning. And then next, and I couldn't resist, this picture of the little boy doing show and tell with the cat, because we're all cat lovers in here, is you'll prepare stories about yourself. So this is basically adult show and tell, where you prepare your examples of things that you've achieved, where you've made a difference that are relevant to the role in hand. And I hear a lot of people say that they hate this bit about kind of blowing their own trumpet, and they feel very resistant about that. So it's getting into alignment with your examples and being able to say them confidently. So a great way you can do this after you've written them out, of course, is to read them out loud as you're standing. See if you sway backwards or forwards as you say them. Because if you're swaying backwards, you're out of alignment with what you're saying. So release any resistance, and once you're aligned, practice, practice, practice. It's absolutely key. And of course, you know, if you're able to, set up a mock interview if you can as well. And preparation is key, because questions are the answer. So we can prepare and anticipate the type of questions that will get asked in an interview, but also we need to be prepared for the unexpected one. So I recommend writing down the questions you get asked after an interview, so that you're creating your own bank of questions that you can use when you're hiring, and also for reflection and preparing even better answers next time. That was something I used to do when I was working. Of course, they're all on the computer of work. I didn't transfer them across, which was an error, because I was thinking, damn, I could have shared them all here. That would have been a great resource for everybody. That said, you can create your own bank of questions. And to give you an idea of a range of questions and what they might look like, there's a great website that I've popped the link into the workbook for you, that's got a huge range of questions that you can just scroll through, just to give you an idea of what they might sound like, so you can start to practice them. And one of the key tips that somebody gave me when I was going for job interviews and promotions at work was using the framework STAR, which I know is well trained on and well used in the public sector. So I thought I'd give a nod to it here as well, just in case somebody hasn't heard of it. But it's a great framework to stop you rambling in an interview, and to help you just use it as a bit of a checklist. Have I answered these 4 points in my answer? So situation or the task is describing the situation that you're in, or the task that you needed to accomplish. And it's a situation, you can be from a previous job or volunteer experience, or anything that's relevant, a relevant event. And if you're going for a strategic role, this is where you'd set the scene with your strategic approach. Then, of course, it's the action that you personally took. Even if you're discussing a group project or effort, it's about what you did in the project. And then the results you achieved. What happened? How did the event end? What did you accomplish, and what did you learn? So, for example, you could be asked, tell me about your accomplishment in your last post, and what did you learn? And thinking about this question, how would you answer this question using the STAR framework? That will give you a nice example up your sleeve for a number of questions that are similar to that you can hook into to answer to that. My bonus tip, and I saw this done so well in so many interviews when I was interviewing people, is, if people don't know what to say immediately, and you get that blank moment and you just need some time to prepare your answer, it's just to say something like, let me gather my thoughts. I was always so impressed when people said that to me, because I knew that they were really taking stock and were going to give me their best answer and not just some knee-jerk reaction. And the other thing I wanted to share, because I think this is a lost opportunity for so many people, is, at the interview, you are also assessing whether you'd like to spend a lot of your life there, because we spend so much time at work. You are interviewing them as well. So you also need to prepare and consider some questions you might like to ask the interview panel or the interviewer. And of course, some of them, they may have answered them already in the front load of the interview, or perhaps in the person specification or the job description. So you won't need masses of them. And I've given you some examples in the workbook as well for you to consider what you might like to answer. I then wanted to talk about how you make your interview panel and interviewer feel. So this is about your energetic imprint at the interview. How do you want them to feel about you as you walk into the room and as you leave? And I think the way you can influence this is to visualize how you want the interview to go and how you want them to feel during the interview and when you leave the interview. So I'm going to talk you through this now. You can join me by closing your eyes and and just bringing the feelings to light. The images that I've got here on the screen are how to anchor in a feeling to your body so that you can use it as a trigger point when you're in a different situation, when you're going into the interview, for example. So there's two that I've predominantly used. One is at the gamut point, which is the one on the left-hand side. So just holding that between my finger and thumb. Or the other one that you can use is just tapping your finger and thumb together, which is the image on the right-hand side. So pick the one that feels most natural to you. And I'm just going to take a moment to guide you through this. You'll have the wording of this in the workbook as well. I just want you to, when you're doing this, you're going to imagine that this feeling that you're going to bring to them is a colour. So what colour do you want to have oozing out of you as you go into the interview? And what colour do you want to give the interview panel as you see their smiling faces and gratitude that you applied for the job as you walk out of the room? So sitting comfortably, take a moment to settle and breathe gently and evenly. And as you continue to settle and relax, just allow any thoughts and internal dialogue just to arise up naturally and just observe them as they come and go. And you just watch them float away. And as you're sitting, breathing gently and continuing to relax, become more aware of your heart chakra. Breathe into your heart chakra and become aware of the sensations you can feel with each breath. As you recall how you'd feel working in this job, making your impact in this role, working with these colleagues, making your difference. And with every breath, expand this feeling outwards. Imagine your aura expanding outwards. You are in flow. Now start to visualize yourself arriving for the interview. You easily find a parking space. You arrive with plenty of time, 30 minutes early, so that you're in the reception with 15 minutes to spare. You're sitting comfortably, calmly, and confidently in the reception area as you feel the excitement build that you have this opportunity to share the impact that you've been making so far in your career. You imagine greeting the person who's come to take you to the interview room, and you send a beam of colour to them as they shake their hand and say hello. Focus on your gentle breathing as you walk into the interview room and shake hands with the interviewers, and you send them a beam of colour with your smile. They are excited to see you and welcome you to the interview. You settle down and calmly and confidently are ready to have a conversation about this post and share your expertise and explore the possibilities of working there. The interview is going so well. You can see the interviewers filled with confidence, excitement, and gratitude at the possibility of you working there. And they're hoping that you will accept their offer of employment. And as you walk out of the door, your heart chakra is full of confidence. It's full of the authentic you. You are a pair of safe hands, creative, efficient, a leader, a team worker, client-centered, strategic. And this leaves a wonderful colour and vibration with the interviewers. And as you sit with this feeling, I want you to anchor it into your body so that you can recall this feeling before you go into the interview. So now, as you are in alignment with this feeling, you may choose to tap your finger and thumb together as you stay with this feeling to anchor this colour in. Or you may choose to tap the gamut point as you stay with this feeling to anchor in this colour. Practice recalling this feeling by using this technique before you go into the interview so that you know that you can do it when you get there. And of course, the more frequently you practice, the easier it is for you to do this. If you have had your eyes closed, now is the time to take a nice deep breath in and out and to come back into the room. So in summary, some energy techniques that you can use to raise your vibes for your interview. The balanced breathing, which with visualization, which I've just guided you through. The energy alignment method to release any resistant thoughts. You can raise your vibe with practice, answering questions or having a mock interview. And of course, practicing any tests that they might give you. And I just wanted to touch on some crystals because I know that these can be a great support to people as well. So we've got citrine, aventurine and ruby that will help you with your job interview. Citrine for prosperity and attracting success. Aventurine to bring good luck and abundance. And ruby for abundance and to give you passion, confidence and motivation to go after the job that you desire. And lastly, we're finally making your impact within the interview. It's the day of the interview. You are aligned, you are excited. And some tips for the day. If you're feeling the excitement bubbling up and you need to center yourself, you can use the thymus thump, which is 15 seconds of thumping the thymus with your fist at that point on your sternum in the photo, as you can see in the photograph here. And that will reduce stress energy bubbling up for you. You, of course, can use the gamut point and the finger tap for bringing back the heart chakra expansion and success at the interview. One of my favorite things that I used to do is your high vibe interview playlist to play in the car on the way to the interview. So what will have you singing out loud in the car? Pump up the tunes in the car because that really will raise your vibration. You know what to do at the interview. You are practiced, you are prepared, you are aligned. Before you go in for the interview, draw in that vibration of success into your energy and then you go for it. And there's a couple of things you can do when you come out of the interview that will support your career development. So firstly, is reflecting on what you learnt taking part in the interview and writing down the questions that you ask because this will help you prepare answers for future interviews. And another tip is that if you don't know your interviewers, you can follow up with them by choosing a topic of conversation that you spoke about during the interview and finding a current leading article that you think the hiring manager would be interested in. And the reason for this is you'll be adding value and working with the law of reciprocity. So now it is time to mastermind because we have a wealth of expertise between us all. So let's share what comes up for each of us, what techniques we use for success and areas for development that we could do with some discussion on. I want you to think about, where do you excel in interviews and how can your experience help others? Where do you need to ask for help? What fears come up for you when you think about a promotion or going for a job interview? Perhaps you've appointed people in post in the past, and what impressed you about their interview that you could share with us? I'm going to stop sharing the screen now. There we go. Hopefully you could all see that okay. What has come up for you as you were listening to that? And what's coming up for you right now? Hi, Leslie. Anybody got an interview?
Hello.
Hi. I know you've got an interview coming up. Any nuggets there for you, Leslie? I know we've spoken about some of that before.
What we spoke about before must have worked probably quite well because my new boss, my main interviewer, really just commented on how good she thought my interview was. After I thought it was okay, but I guess it was made better by probably the energy work and stuff I'm maybe not aware of during the interview. I think, just now we were doing the colour thing. Am I allowed to have two colours at the same time?
Tell me about your colours. Why do you want two colours?
Well, I think last time I suggested purple or orange, and you suggested to choose one, and I chose purple, and the same two colours were coming up.
Oh, brilliant.
So I don't know if that matters. They were just sort of combined.
Oh, yeah. So were they combined in like a spiral?
How
are they coming out? How are you visualizing them? That's really interesting.
I was thinking more like the sort of like the saffron robes that a Buddhist wears, more like that sort of colour, and purple robe. I hadn't got to that level of detail visualising them. They're just sort of, yeah, I guess I was visualising them sort of coming out of myself somewhere, but I hadn't thought about it in that detail. But if I was to go to my sort of questions on the interview, so my next interview, which is in exactly 2 weeks' time, is for a permanent version of my current contract post. It's going to be with a much larger panel of interviewers from different backgrounds, including some really senior people. And I think I can imagine what you might say about this. But my tendency before an interview is to have some fears, because we've all at some point done things that weren't so good, or we weren't so proud of. My fear is that I'm going to end up talking about this and making a bad impression, or being asked about something that makes me think about things like that and not be sure how to answer. I suppose. So it's partly around conquering my own fears and being, I guess, confident that I've got a reasonable answer for everything. I'm guessing you're going to say something about releasing the resistance.
Yes.
But I don't know any more details.
So definitely, as you were saying that, there's some things there you can say in terms of, so 2 things I scribbled down immediately were making a bad impression and not be sure how to answer. So I would release those beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So take them out and think about how do you want to feel in that interview, so that you know you're going to make a good impression, because you've got the energy work, and that you'll know how to answer. Okay. The other belief. And in terms of the preparation work, because it is that thing, isn't it? We can prepare and prepare and prepare. We don't want to overdo it so that we tie ourselves up in knots by trying to answer every single question that they might possibly ask us. Because then if they don't ask it in the exact way, it can throw people. But it's having your show and tell examples up your sleeve, so that you know that, okay, if they ask you about commissioning a certain service, or what you've done, your accomplishments, you go, aha, I've got that answer, and this sort of fits. But as you start talking, you find you can add in more to add to the answer. Does that help?
It does, and I guess I'm also not sure how much to bring in what I'm doing currently, because by the time I'm interviewed, I'll have been in post exactly 1 month. It's enough for me to know a fair bit about the system I'm working in, but still to have lots unanswered, and probably not to have demonstrated very much that I've achieved. So I'm sort of wondering how to balance that against my previous 7 years or so of training. It's just not a situation I've been in before, applying for a permanent post.
And like you say, 1 month in, what will you have achieved that you can draw on? Because are they long-term projects?
Yes, some of them will be shorter over a period of months, but that's a minimum. But yeah, they're sort of lasting topics that will go on forever, really. There'll not undoubtedly be project work within it.
Yeah. So from what you've been saying, it sounds like you'll have more evidence to draw on from your old job. Are they, out of interest, the other thing that's popped into my mind, are they going to be it's a bigger panel? Are there some of the people that interviewed before, are they going to be on this panel? Is it different people?
There's going to be 2 people the same, the executive director, who's my boss, and a consultant who interviewed me before. The business manager's not going to be there, but there's going to be another consultant who I work with, who I'm actually meeting with tomorrow for 1-to-1. Then there's going to be the head of the whole health improvement service for Wales. And then there's, I think, 3 other people as well on the panel.
Gone for it, haven't they?
Sorry?
That's a lot of people.
I know, I think it's 7 altogether.
That's like a classroom.
Yeah, I won't. Yeah. the most I've had before I went for a job at the European Commission many years ago, I think that was 6 people, part of which was done in a different language. I'm hopeful none of this is going to be done in Welsh. No, it won't be.
Do lots of alignment that's definitely not going to be done in Welsh.
Yeah.
My husband could help there.
Oh, brilliant. What was coming to mind, the reason why I asked that, Leslie, was I know that I used to see this a lot with when people know you and you think, oh, they know me, and they would sort of shortcut their answers. And of course, you're only able to officially score on what people say. And it's quite close between your interviews. So it's that thing of remembering it's a fresh interview. It doesn't matter if you said it before in the other interview, to ensure you say whatever it is again, the full answer in this one. Okay. And I wondered if the number of colours that's coming up is right for the number of people you've got in the room.
Yeah, maybe I should add a few more in. It could be like a whole rainbow, couldn't it?
Yeah, one colour for each. I like that idea of the 2 colours. If that's what came to mind, that feels like that's the natural energy of what you want to give them. So how do you feel about getting yourself prepared and in alignment with this interview?
So what I want to do is make sure that I'm aligned with some positive expressions. When we first started the coaching work, and it was a few months ago now for me, there were only a few of us, and you went through in a lot of detail the specific statements. So as well as taking away the resistance, and looking at when we're framing some of it in terms of not making a bad impression, not doing this, I think I need to replace that afterwards with what I do want to do. Is that right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's just going to be to think about exactly how to do that.
So if you write down like all those thoughts that you had where you're saying, I'm worried I'm going to make a bad impression, I'm worried I'm not going to be not sure how to answer it, do a bit of a journal, see what comes up, and then it's flipping it. Okay, so you could almost like highlight, okay, yeah, that's one that's going to create resistance energy around that thought form. And then, okay, well, what's the opposite? And that's your aligned statement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I guess probably one final thing around it. I'm not sure what my wife's outlook would be on it as well. She was initially encouraging me to apply for a permanent post, which was advertised as being full-time. I had a conversation with my boss and said, is it possible that it might be able to be less than full-time? And she said, well, possibly for the right candidate. So I've applied, but then since then my wife sort of said, well, maybe it's a bit too much going for that post. So in theory, it'd be quite good, because it means I could just carry that on, but at the same time having the limit sort of puts some psychological break into it as well. So I'm potentially going to have this at the back of my mind as well.
And is there, so what's coming up for your wife in terms of thinking about how you can get yourself into a good place before you go in, so you don't have that at the back of your head?
What's coming up
for your wife, and are you able to resolve that difference in energy?
That she's able to handle me being away on the basis that it's temporary.
temporary for 6 months. Is that right? If I remember that correctly?
More like up to 12 months. It's probably more like 11 now, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a big sort of psychological thing that, it is just while I'm getting experience doing something. Now, as my wife pointed out herself, at some level it makes more sense, because if it's made permanent, then I'm not having to find another job after, which could potentially put pressure on us to move away. And I am able to actually manage to do the commute. So there is that.
Yeah.
So if you got the permanent post, Leslie, would you commute and do the same as you're doing now, or would you move closer?
Well, my wife doesn't want to move,
Right.
so I would aim to negotiate my hours, so I would do exactly the same that I'm doing now.
Okay. What do you want?
I think it would be helpful on balance to get the permanent post for the reason that it is more certain in terms of employment prospects. I'm not having to worry about looking for another job. It doesn't stop me looking for another job, because I'm on the same notice period anyway, whichever version I've got.
Okay.
I guess the only possible downside, it might come with some added responsibility in the way that I'm sort of seen, and my work will be more sort of permanently orientated work streams. It's the only difference I can see.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts?
Exactly the same job that you're doing, Leslie, only it'll be permanent.
Well, yeah, pretty much. The only thing, as I just mentioned, is because my boss is seeing my position as fixed term for 12 months, that she set me some projects in accordance with that. I'll probably be set slightly different work. That's all.
So you'd have more people to manage as well, is that right, on the permanent position?
Possibly not. I don't have anyone to manage at the moment. I'm providing support to somebody who is a line manager, and that would probably stay the same, but it might not. So it looks like a good prospect, but what I don't want to do is cause some sort of ruckus at home with it.
And it sounded like, so whilst there's the hesitation that you've got, your wife has also recognised some of the benefits.
Yeah, well, she did initially. It was just her last comment, so I haven't actually told her that I've got the interview yet.
I think you're resisting that.
Just because she's getting used to me being away from home, and she gets a very anxious personality type, and she, she could get quite on the edge very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm having to manage that situation quite carefully.
Are you intending on telling her before you go for the interview?
I don't know. I was just seeing how it was going, really. We just had quite a good weekend. And I was thinking, yeah, probably. And then I was probably just going to chat with her about it, but I can now, and then ask her opinion about it.
What do you think she'll say?
It's really hard to predict. I think if I just say that, I'd already applied and I've been offered an interview, and sort of chat about it. What does she think? That the trouble is, she tends to second guess me, and she sort of thinks that if she advises me not to, then she'll be held responsible for it. And that's a bit difficult to deal with. So she's not always honest in what she's saying.
Okay. So the key thing there is to get your energy in alignment before you tell her.
Okay.
And those things that you just said in terms of that she second guesses you, release the resistance around that and around her not being honest, or if you kind of work backwards from all those things that you said, so that you can have a quick sway before you, I don't know, pick up the phone, or you're going to have the conversation with her. Am I fully in alignment with telling her? So that you're energetically in the best place. And what's in it for her if you get the post?
Well, what she said before is that so I do come to 12 months, she doesn't have to face the same uncertainty that I'm having to look for another job, and is she going to have to consider us moving potentially? I guess on the other hand, I'll potentially carry on, and she's thought that doesn't work so well. But I think hopefully she'll come around to how it's working at the moment. And other things may come up in the meantime anyway. Just don't know. And then the other thing is, she might at some point think that it could be a good move. I'm not sure if it is or not at this point.
Yeah, it's early to say, isn't it? But like you say, you want to go for it so that you've got as many opportunities.
Yeah.
An opportunity there that you're in alignment with to go for.
But you're also in more of a control when it's a permanent position as well. Whereas when it's just a 12-month contract, then it's going to end and you're not in control. Whereas when it's a full-time position, you can choose to stay or choose to look for something else.
Yeah, absolutely.
So true. Any other words of wisdom for Leslie?
Buy some flowers, Leslie.
Sorry, you've been in the job a couple of weeks now, did you say?
3 weeks now.
3 weeks. So you know the company, you know the culture, you know all the systems and processes. That's an awful lot for someone new or isn't in your role to pick up. So I think that's a massive advantage. They know that you fit the culture. You can't teach somebody how to behave or who they are. So you're obviously the right person for the job because you've got all these skills and they know about those already. For me, that's more important than whether you can tick a box or you can do an Excel spreadsheet. No one can teach you about your internal self or your behaviours. You've got that advantage. You're going in there with that massive advantage that no one else has got. They don't know that about anybody else but you, Leslie.
Oh,
so
thank you.
That. Keep that in your back pocket. That's a big bonus.
Thank you. I hope I'm making a good impression in my first few weeks. But yeah, that's helpful. Thank you. I think someone else mentioned about getting my wife some flowers, which is probably a good idea as
well. From experts here, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, not from the petrol station though.
No.
Not the gas station, Rose.
No, definitely not.
Right, okay.
They have the reverse effect.
Yeah.
Also, I feel that if you go for the job, if you go for the interview and then you're offered the job, then you have a position of choice. And you can, then that's the conversation you have with your wife but ultimately this is your choice, and I'm sure you'll be putting everybody's need as well as your own first. But if you don't go for the interview, then you'll never be in a position to have that choice.
Yeah, that's true. I guess there's the other part of me, is the chicken part of me that doesn't really like going for interviews in the first place, that I need to overcome, because I could just say I'm putting myself through a lot if I'm not really likely to pick it up at the end of the day.
But again, you've got the job. You're already in the job.
Yeah.
You've got nothing to lose. It's more about you interviewing them than anything from the side that you're sitting at the moment, because you've got a job with them already.
Well, that's a nice way to think about it. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. Anything else for Leslie? Any top tips?
Make sure you use some of the examples from what you've already done and what successes you're going to already do already in the role. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Start thinking about what you're going to do or what you've been doing since you've been there. Practice it so that you can pull them from your memory when they ask you for examples of whenever I had to do this, whenever you had an issue here. because they always say, when have you had to deal with conflict? When have you had to, you know, when you've had an issue with a project and you've been off plan or you've gone over budget, whatever, there's loads of questions that they always ask you about a situation. So build that inside you so you've got those to pull on when they ask you the question.
Right, thank you.
That's awesome. I used to practice just speaking out loud to myself. So I'd write it out, have it there. I'd read it out, read the answer out over and over and over again until then I could like put it down and then just say it a bit more normally. Thinking, God, if anyone comes in, they're going to think, what is she doing? But I was so on point in terms of not leaving anything to chance.
I was, for my last interview, I was driving in the car. I was kind of going through answers and sort of saying them out loud in the car. The sorts of things that I might be, they might ask me.
It's just
telling them a story. Just telling them a story to the question you're answering. You know, that's what you've got to think about. It's not scary. You're just giving them an answer, which is a real life story of what you've done.
Because it's a case of if you've got an interview, then they think you can do the job anyway. Otherwise, they wouldn't call you an interview.
So true. Fabulous. Is there anything else that's come up for you, Leslie, that's springing to mind that we can help with?
I guess the only other thing is, I already know, because I've been told by my boss that there are some really good other candidates that have gone for it. She said that the people that apply for permanent posts are different from applying for locum, because people are prepared to move from another permanent post somewhere else. So they tend to be more experienced. So I think realistically going into it, I have to be aware, they might have found people that they thought are more experienced or qualified. Whereas there's still doesn't stop them being happy with me and their appointment.
Oh, exactly.
Locum post. So I guess it's just how to sort of deal with that as well.
So in terms of the way I'd frame it in my own mind, if that was me, is knowing you've got a brilliant opportunity to get an insight how they recruit to a permanent post. Use it as learning for if you think, okay, I think that there are going to be people with more experience applying for this, so therefore they're going to potentially score more points. Is okay, so what can I take from this experience? Like I said, write down, as soon as you get out, write down the questions they've asked you. So you're collecting your bank of questions, because you'll forget them quite quickly. But if you do it like within sort of, as soon as you get to your car, just write them, okay, what did they say? Da, 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 da. So you start to collect, an asset really in terms of for your next interview, so that you can think, okay, well, they asked this. And then when you get feedback from the interview, you'll have in your mind's eye, because you'll have all the questions there that they asked you, as best you can remember. There'd always be the ones in the middle I couldn't quite remember, but the beginning and the end I'd be fine with. But hopefully you'll be able to remember them all. You'll have a really good sense of, okay, so how can I improve my performance in the next interview? With taking everything that I've learned for this one. And it is one of those things, if they say to you, Leslie, you were brilliant, there was just other people that had 7 years more experience than you, you're on track with how you're interviewing and performing and in the interview. It's just one of those things sometimes. If there is somebody like that.
Yeah, that's helpful. And I'm sort of using it hopefully to take a bit of pressure off myself as well going in. And I'll just do all this these colours and hope for the best.
You're going to be a ninja at interviews by the end of it all.
I'm just wondering, has he got a purple and orange tie he could wear for the interview?
Love it. Have you got any colours like that?
I don't at the moment, but I can
Try one.
Yeah. That's brilliant. Fabulous. Oh, so it's in 2 weeks' time. You have to let us know how it goes.
Will do. Thanks, Lucy, and thanks everyone for your help.
You're welcome. Who else has got some things that they'd like to share, either where they've excelled in an interview, something's worked really well for them, or where they've tanked in an interview and want to share their learning? Oh, Alison's waving her hand.
At my last interview, I think it did go really well because they did just say somebody else's skill set matched better on the day. They didn't say anything negative at all. But one thing they asked at the end was about, you know, what's your unique selling point? And I never quite know what to say for that. I don't know exactly what they were looking for and what, you know, yeah.
That's a horrible question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It reminds me of one that's similar to my boss asking me. So this was in a restructure interview between me and another head of service going for one job. So the outcome was one of us was getting the job and the other one was being made redundant. This is a colleague I've been working with for a few years. She asked, and I was like, that's a really nasty question. If your boss was here, and I'm like, you are my boss. What would you say about you?
Right.
Oh.
I can feel my jaw going, resistance energy coming up. What would she say about you? Which is another way of kind of what's your unique selling point.
Yeah.
Way. I mean, obviously, that one is kind of what's your best bits and what's your worst bits because they want.
It's just how to say something in a succinct way. Yeah, I'm not known for being succinct. So. No.
So how can you use that sort of framework in terms of the star? Because you can.
Yeah.
Okay. Who am I?
Yeah.
What do I bring to the table? So what will I contribute?
I think maybe some of it because I'm now on LinkedIn. When I first went on there, I put various skills and then I added skills and then I shifted my skills. So I think as I've been doing AAM, I've kind of thought, do you know what? These are either more important to me or actually I'm better at these than I thought I was. So maybe they are actually the ones that, you know, I need to say.
Yeah. And how would you answer that? Give me an example of how you'd answer that?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember what I said last time.
So would it be, so for example, were you thinking you'd say, so if I go, Alison, what's your unique selling point? My unique selling point is...
I don't know.
There's a reason behind what I'm asking. So yeah. Would you give a list of skills? So I'm a team worker, I'm a leader, I'm a blah, blah, blah.
You've got to give an example. You've got to say, you've got to give an example with it as well.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, and the other thing was about, I tend to generally do quite well in interviews, but it's more the tests. If you've got tasks to do, where you're up against, a time frame, you've got to work within a time frame. I know it's kind of linked to the interview, but not exactly. And I don't know if anybody else has got any sort of tips on that.
Any tips on having to complete tests for interviews?
I wouldn't worry about the test too much. They're just to give them a baseline. It's more, for me these days, it's more about who you are that they're interested in, rather than a number on a bit of paper. Just think of it, it's just going to be a number at the end of the day, Alison. Doesn't matter. They just want a baseline of, have you got basic, conversation, arithmetic, whatever it is, communication skills.
Yeah.
It's more about you as a person, and look how you've grown.
Yeah. Can I just say, at the beginning of June, I did something through on strengths and weaknesses, and my 3 weaknesses were on adventure, action, and bounce back. They were my 3 weaknesses.
Well, I think you can cross bounce back off.
And I just looked at that again, and I just thought, adventure, action, and bounce back, they're my 3 weaknesses, and I don't feel like they are. Well, I'm still having wobbles, as you know. I'm still having wobbles, but it just shows how much I've come in.
Yeah.
Nearly 2 months since I did that.
That's phenomenal.
And I'm going to use this interview stuff for the singing on Thursday, because that's one thing I think I've been going back a bit with reverse. Well, I don't know. I'm just going to apply some of this to that, because I know I want to do it and I know I can do it, but there's something in me that's saying,
yeah,
even though I know I can do it.
Yeah, release the
Yeah.
Is there no way you can bring your singing in as one of your unique selling points somehow?
Well, probably, to be honest, I mean, if the one that I'm applying for is actually enrichment officer at a school.
There you go.
So I actually, with the say, for the last one, it wasn't. The last one, it was more admin based, but they still want you to get involved. It's an unusual school, and they still want you to get involved in the enrichment program. And I know I said about yoga there as well. So they don't do yoga currently at the school, so I mentioned about that. Yeah. I'd forgotten about that.
You sing, yoga.
I sing, I dance, I do
Dance.
I don't juggle though.
The kids would love you. Come on, the kids would love
You could be
you.
another team member then. I love it. Does that answer your question? Oh, Lisa's got something to say.
No. Carry on. Sorry, I was going to ask a question.
Go for it.
About interviews and things, that's all.
Oh, I see. Okay, yes. Alison, does that answer
wait.
your question? I'll come on to Lisa.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Lisa.
It was just my boss at work is retiring, so her job will be advertised, and I am planning to go for it, but it's not till a year's time. But I have a colleague of mine she's the same grade as I am, but she's got a lot more experience in this particular area than me. So everybody's assuming she's going to get it. But quite a few people have said that I'm very different to her and that they think I would a better manager. But I'm going to have to, I think, release resistance that she is going to get it, and she's sort of better than me, if you get what I mean.
She's not. She's not.
So it's just that I suppose that's quite a big thing, because people keep saying to me, you've got to go for it. And I think it's because it's 12 months down the line as well. And I don't really know why I'm saying this, and don't really know what the question is, but I just...
What can you do between now and in 12 months' time to put you in the best place to...
Well, I think I'll probably need to do more study, but she's sort of beaten me to it, because she's starting to do more study as well, because that's obviously how she thinks she's going to get the job. So, I mean, there might be outside.
Release the comparison, Lisa.
Yeah.
So if you just do a bit of a journal, like why you think she's better than me, she's done more study, blah, 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 and then release all that comparison so that you can, over the next year, kind of blinkers on, be in flow, and do everything you can to make your impact in the post. And everything you'll be doing will be learning and putting you in better stead for this promotion or an even better one. So all the training that you can go on. I bet she's not got her energy aligned.
No, she is better since I've been aligned. That's had a knock-on effect on her.
I'm just thinking though that people have said you should go for it, so that means some people think, well, they obviously have a high opinion of you. Otherwise,
they're the people that I work quite closely with, and so the people that are assuming she will get it don't really work with her, so they don't really know. I work with her, so I know how she works, and I don't particularly agree with it.
The other thing to be mindful of, I think, Lisa, as well, is whenever this happens, you get some people that like stirring and seeing reactions and telling you that the other lady's going to get it when you know you're a contender. And so it's releasing energy around that of just knowing it's going to be some sort of small politics going on, because people like to, potentially gossip in those environments.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I mean, if that last job that I went for, the amount of people that came up and told me that I was going to get it, and then the amount of people that came up and told me that the other guy was going to get it, was phenomenal. You're thinking, why are you telling me that? That's really helpful.
I was told in the past that I would definitely get another job, and then I didn't get it.
Mm.
So I've got a little bit of a resistance, I suppose, with that, because I've had experience of everybody telling me I was going to get the post, and then I didn't get it. But the other thing that sort of concerns me is that if I do get it, how she's going to react to that. So that's going to be quite a difficult one to handle, I think.
So there's a couple of things to come up with in terms of releasing any resistance to getting it and her reaction to it. So that you don't have any of that about your relationship with her or anything like that in your vibration as you go for it. And if you can clear that now, don't wait until 12 months' time, because it's going to, every time you have a thought form, it's like, imagine like a little cotton ball popping out of your head and it being in your aura. And if you think again, that cotton ball's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So you want to clear the resistance and create a lovely cotton ball of being fully empowered in your own energy.
And loving her.
Loving her. Loving everybody.
Oh, I love her.
So that cotton ball gets bigger and bigger and bigger, gathers momentum. You are a complete powerhouse by the time that the job interview comes.
Okay.
And I keep reading recently on, on a Facebook or something, keep your dreams and aspirations to yourself as well. That's happening because, people stir.
Yeah.
This thing I'm having to learn, being far too open, and people say,
I've been setting the intention that she finds another job before. I think she's getting to, she can smell the promotion now, so she's not going anywhere.
She might get headhunted.
The job that I'm applying for, my manager's going to apply for it as well.
Oh, really?
Brilliant.
Because she's desperate to leave, and I've asked her for a reference, but she's going to apply for the job as well.
Oh, wow. I've never had that before.
So, yeah, that's quite interesting.
Yeah. You didn't go out for lunch afterwards?
I said we come as a pair. They need two. They don't need one, they need two.
No, they might have two job openings.
You never know. Always exciting times.
Yeah, I just hope there's not 7 people interviewing me, because I think I might.
But the intention is 2.
Rock in the corner, if that's the case.
Yeah. What else can you do, Lisa, between now and then so that you're in the best place energetically and also practically, so taking that aligned action?
Are
there any projects you need to do, like add to your experience, or is that all?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that that I want to sort of set out at work, really. It seems to have happened that I look after all the students. So I want to sort of do them a workbook. They're only with us for one day, but there's periods of the day that we're busy doing admin and stuff and discharges and things. And I think if there was something, instead of them just looking at me while I'm doing the computer work, they could be doing something in a workbook, and then if they've got any questions, then that would bring that up. So that's something that I want to do. There's quite a few projects that I want to.
Which one would be the best one to put you in that stead for making an impact at that next level up?
Can I just ask, Lisa, what do you actually do?
I'm a clinical nurse specialist in stoma care.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't know whether everybody knows what stomas are, but it's basically...
I do. I've had a bowel operation, so I know what a stoma is.
Okay.
Karen's saying she doesn't.
Yeah.
A stoma is when a piece of your bowel is brought out onto your tummy.
Wow.
And the poo goes into the bag, basically. So.
Oh, okay. Is that what? I didn't know that was called a stoma.
Yeah, you've got a colostomy,
yes,
a ileostomy, or a urostomy.
Then you have okay.
So there's three types of stomas. 2 for poo, and there's one for urine as well. Because people have that bladder removed if they have bladder cancer.
Yeah.
So I basically there's lots of aspects to my job, but I teach a lot to the patients. I teach the students on the ward, and there's lots. But then it would mean being a manager of the team, whereas now I'm just a member of the team.
Yeah.
So.
And have you managed people before?
I have in a previous role, but in a different role, in complex care in the community. I've managed people, yeah.
Of course, you've got that experience. And is there anything in terms of when you think about what she's doing in her job that you then could benefit, getting some of that experience while you're on your current role?
I'm trying. She's got 20 odd years of stoma experience, my manager, 27 actually, which she tells me most days. But she won't actually give me any of that.
Okay, so
there's aspects of my work that she keeps to herself. And I've actually said to her, I would really love if you would show me and teach me.
Can you do some energy work around that, Lisa?
Pardon?
Do some energy work around that.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you do the bubbles method. In the bubbles method, so the issue is the manager's leaving and she's not sharing any of, giving you opportunity to learn from her, so you can add that to the skill set. Yeah. Then in the energy, how does that make you feel? And where do you feel that energy? Can you remind me, can you feel energy, or do we do numbers with you?
I tend to feel it.
You feel it. Okay, so where do you feel that frustration or that whatever the emotion is, and release that energy, and then make a little note in the thoughts and beliefs. Okay, so she won't give me any of her experience. Release that, because that's a belief. Release that, and then how would you like it to be with her giving you that knowledge?
Okay.
Over the next 12 months.
Okay.
It's in the patient's interest that she does impart all that knowledge.
It's all to do with control with her. She doesn't want me to know.
Yeah.
She's threatened by you.
Pardon?
Is she threatened by you?
I think there is an element of that, because she knows how well I get on with the patients, and how she wouldn't admit it, but she knows that I'm very good at my job. So, but periodically she knocks me down just to keep me a little bit under control.
I might message you later, Lisa, because I don't know exactly what it is you feel you don't know, but I know somebody who's got. I've got friends who's got stoma and everything, so I don't know what it is you don't, what you feel you don't know. But
there's aspects that we don't do very often.
Right. Okay.
And it's when I say to her, please teach me, she says, we don't see them very often. I said, no, I know that, but we do still see them, because sometimes young people with like bowel conditions like your ulcerative colitis can have what we call a J pouch. Yeah. So they can actually model a piece of the bowel to make a rectum, so that they don't have to have a stoma. They can just have, it's like a bag, but it's made out of their bowel and it's inside them.
Wow.
And
amazing.
I don't know
Amazing.
much about it. Oh, it is. It's huge. I mean,
is there no one else that you could ask that would?
Well,
not bypass them, go for someone else.
I think I'm going to have to, because Simmer, who is my colleague that thinks she's going to get the job, she won't tell me either.
They don't want you to get the job.
No.
It might not be the deal. Would it be the deal breaker for you getting the job, Lisa, if you didn't know that?
No, it wouldn't, but it would make me feel more whole in the service that I can offer if I do get.
Yeah. Is there somewhere else where you could actually learn about that, or is there, an organisation or something, or somewhere else you can go and find out without having to get it from them?
I think that's why I'm going to have to go, Karen, because that we are very lucky in lots of ways, because we are supported quite well by the same companies, the people, the people, manufacturers that make, and they do a lot of teaching and a lot of support. But presently, I don't think there's a course on that particular subject. But there's no reason why I can't speak to them and try and get that sorted, really. So that's. Sorry.
I think, I do have various contacts, so I think I will message you. And
that's good.
If you send me questions, and I'm not making any promises, but I do have contacts in different I've got a member of the family who's a younger member who's had Crohn's disease and all that. I've got a friend who's had bowel cancer and has got stoma. I've got my sister who works in medical in a different county. So I know different people, so I might be able to, if you think the sorts of the areas that you might want to know more of, I might be able to kind of do some fishing around.
Nice.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Alison. That's really good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Elise, are you clear about what to do then to get you in the best place for the interview that you'll get next year?
Yes, I am. I just hope I get an interview. Well, I suppose that takes
You will.
Anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're going to get an interview.
I am.
Yeah.
I am, Ruth. I am. Yeah.
Thank you. Who else has got some questions or some nuggets that they'd like to share?
Well, yeah, me.
Hello, Philippa.
I made a real crossroads in my career, and I was thinking it's the first time I've been unemployed for a long time. It's actually the second time in a year that I've been unemployed, and but it's the first time where I've sent off loads of applications, including 3 or 4 back home to New Zealand and some here, and not even got a response or an interview. And I've always had an interview, and I suppose I've always and I've been interviewed on Skype before, and when I've been overseas and received my jobs, and it's really showing me now that stopped. And it's possibly because I'm not aligned with what I was doing. In fact, it's highly probable. The last interview I went with, which was my second one I'd done in the UK. The first one I did was when I first arrived. I had no idea. When you do a teaching interview, you have to teach a class, and then you have your interview. And I spent all my time preparing, and I taught my class, and that went well. Then I had the interview panel, and I completely stuffed up. I wasn't prepared. I stumbled over my words. I couldn't hear them. And when it came to what's a memorable moment, I was oh, can I get back to you on that one? They said, so what are your questions? I'm like, oh yeah, what does the job involve? Dumb stuff, like really dumb stuff. So I didn't get the job, and they did say, oh, you taught really well, but there were 2 of you at the time, and the person who interviewed me got the job, and that's fine. I suppose what is coming up for me is, in September, I've got 3 days where I'm teaching as a supply, but it's potentially an interview for a job. But there's the part of me that I'm also wanting to do my master's in a different career direction. I just spent a week doing what I really love, which is dance with therapy. Absolutely, that's where I'm at home. So I suppose, but then there's resistance around that. I mean, I'd love to do it here at Roehampton, but there's a resistance about the money, about being away from home, about my commitment. So I've got those things to think, but then there's an interview process for that as well. So I'm just rambling at the moment. But I'm at I don't know what to do. I feel like I spent 15 years training and doing, and I grew with the subjects that I taught, And then I'm over here teaching a completely different subject, which is why I couldn't think of anything memorable, because the whole thing was memorable, because it was all new learning, new curriculum, new country, new students, new everything. I couldn't say that because I was meant to make out that I was an expert English teacher.
So I'd love to be open to find out what questions people have
so
got.
Useless in my career, but I know I'm at a transitional point.
I'd write down what you love doing and what you don't like doing, because I think as much as knowing what you do like, it's more important to me about what I don't want to do and what I don't like. And I think that's true in a lot of things in life, you know. When I was on my own, it was more about, well, what I'm not going to put up with if I find a new partner, you know. And it is more about what you do will you absolutely not put up with, and what will you not have at any, you know, what do you not want to do at all. And I think that narrows down what you will do, and then that might align more with what you enjoy doing and what you love doing and what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And if you love it, you're passionate, you're going to be good at it.
Well, I was passionate. I used to do I taught dance and drama, and I was in a similar situation, what it sounds like Lisa is, and forgive me, Lisa, from being spectacular lead in the end, and there was a lot of control going on, and there was horrible things going on, and in the end I was forcibly removed. Okay, it was an element of my choice, but there was an element, and to the point that the woman I spent 5 years working alongside with wouldn't even give me a reference, no explanation. So I've got a real lot of fear about that. But I was recently looking at some footage that I took of my students before I left, and it was phenomenal what they had done. You know, so and this is the drama and then the dance, and I mean the community knew I was good as a dance teacher, because I organised a group and they performed in a public setting, and they blew the whole night away. They were the main act. They had people in tears. But I left feeling that I was so rubbish at what I did, because of the toxic work environment I was in, and I was unaware of how toxic it was until the last 6-7 months. So that really knocked me, if that makes sense. And then when I came here to England, and I just went for whatever I could, and then I ended up working in a really, really hard school, very multicultural school, and East End school, in a subject that I wasn't well versed in. But I picked up and actually loved the subject, and I could do it, but I had a lot of behavioural management problems. And so yeah.
Philippa, what's the pattern that you can see that's coming up with your past jobs?
Bullying.
Can you release bullying
from students and from colleagues?
Yeah.
And yeah.
For me, that's what's standing out is because your energy feels like it's split.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where to land. And then this has been a pattern on a couple of things. So looking back, if we're just looking at the work thing, if you look at releasing the bullying pattern, and then the fear of being in that kind of environment again, and then do that work around thinking, well, what do I like? So you know what you don't want. What do I want? And then getting yourself into alignment. So when you're looking at job applications, so literally you can stand with them in front of you if you've got them like on a piece of paper, or if they're on the computer. Have I got any resistance for going for this job? Do I need to clear the resistance? And these questions will be in the workbook that I'm going to upload onto the membership site for you. I'll put it in the bonus section so you know where to find it. And I'll do that within the next 24 hours once I've uploaded the recording and stuff, so that you know that you clear any resistance before you, because it's a lot of work doing job applications, isn't it? Filling out all the details, They don't always have, just upload your CV. They want you to input it into section by section on the website and stuff, so that you're in complete alignment before you go for it. So you know that, yeah, actually, do you know what? I really love this. I'm confident, and my energy, because you trust your energy, has gone forward on going, do I go for this job?
Yeah, because I mean, I know I love working with children, and I know I love doing the arts, and I know I'm a leader rather than a manager. Yeah.
What about looking in the charity and voluntary sector? There are some good paid jobs in there, but I don't know why, but I get this sense that sort of sector would, that you would thrive in it, because you've got that passion, you know, there's a lot of really great work. You can make a difference in that sector. There's a lot of creative stuff, and you're quite creative. It would be good to look around, jobs in that sort of sector, I would say, because there's some brilliant jobs that are so worthwhile doing and would really pay back well for you.
Yeah, I mean, I've got so many skills, and that's what I want to do. Is I want to be of service, and empowering, assisting with empowering.
So align to all of that, and so that you've got that in your vibration, so you start to attract and you start to see those opportunities that are in alignment with you there.
Look on the third sector. There's a job site called the Third Sector where they have all the voluntary sector jobs.
Does that mean you get paid though?
I'll send you a couple of links on message, because I've worked in the voluntary sector before, Philippa.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I want to just be aligned with what I love to do, with my purpose.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let us know how it goes with releasing the bullying pattern.
Well, I realised in my program on Thursday, something came up about another, like my dance movement therapy that I was studying back home, and I was really unsupported, and when I was going through a really difficult time, there was something I couldn't commit to time-wise for an online course, and they basically said I couldn't finish. I paid $3,500. I'd put all this time. I'd done extra other stuff. I connected with it, and it was my passion. And they said no, and there was no question, no anything. And that showed me I really have been back in New Zealand, really feeling totally unsupported in my personal, my professional, and in my education. Like I'm not seen. I'm just dropped. They're just not caring. I mean, I'm not saying everybody, because I've got some people that really care for me there, but and I don't want to go home because of that. And I told my mother, and she just said to me, well, I'm not supporting you if you stay in the UK for the next 3 years, which again shows me what? Where's the support? So yeah, very torn, very split.
And can you see how that's in your energy and you're attracting more of it? That's right.
I haven't been while I've been in the UK.
So what I've heard in terms of just from the conversations that we've had is that that's what's coming up, this split energy. So I would recommend checking in around, am I holding split energy? Do I need to release any resistance? Around being unsupported, dropped. I don't want to go home. Release the resistance to going home, so that you have in your vibration that wherever you are, whether you are here or there, that you feel fully loved and supported with both your lives. And that whether you have a job there for a little bit or a job here for a bit, you can do both if that's what you choose to do. Sorry?
I kind of just need a job.
Yeah.
I know, I applied for a cleaner job today, but then she was like, oh, I think it might be a bit beneath you because you're a teacher. And well, I'm actually wanting to do something quite meaningful.
There's a lot to be said for a job where, yeah, like you say, you can go and do the work and then leave the work there and then come home. Oh, Philippa's gone. So Leslie was saying goodbye, and then Philippa's gone. Oh, you've got to go, Leslie. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We'll see you tomorrow, won't we, Leslie?
Tomorrow
Or Friday.
Or Friday, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Okay, awesome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Okay, so Philippa will hopefully pop back on again.
I've just sent her a few links.
Oh, thanks, Ruth. That's awesome.
But to some degree, this is what I was going through when I first started the course. And you helped me a lot with how I saw my bosses and the people, because I felt like I wasn't seen and I wasn't important. And it really made a difference to the way that they treated me or treat me now. It made a huge difference because it was obviously my energy changed. So it's really important that Philippa does release all that. Because it's almost like it's heavy. You could feel it.
Yeah. It's there, stuck, isn't it?
Yeah.
You should jump back on so we can do some work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's amazing, isn't it? It would be great. Hopefully she can watch the recording and jump back in again, and we can, carry on the conversation around that. For her to hear your reflection, really, Lisa, in terms of what changed after you changed your energy around it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was considering trying to look for another job because of how, as Philippa said, it was a toxic environment that I felt that I was in. So the way that I reacted made a big difference, and just released all that negativity, really. So
it's huge, and when you've released that negativity, you're then able to attract more positive things, not only in your job but in the next job that you have. And that's why in the workbook, I'm very much bearing in mind where people might be in a job that they're not currently liking. I've done a section around getting yourself into that space where you're going to like your job that you're currently in, so you attract more opportunities that you're going to like, not more of the same where you might end up attracting another bully or something. Oh, Philippa, you're back.
Sorry, my battery.
Lisa shared something that I think was for your ears as well. That might be helpful to hear. And there were lots of nods around that.
Okay.
I was just saying that when I first started the course and started to do the calls, my first thing, that sort of a project that I did, was about the way that I was seen at work, because I felt that everybody else was more important. Sort of they had more opportunities than I did, and they were treated differently to me. And I released a lot of energy around bosses and working and being as important as everybody else within the team. And it's made a huge difference, Philippa, to how people react to me now. I felt like I wasn't seen, I didn't matter, and it's completely changed the way people are with me. So it is really important that you release all that stuff that's there.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. I have noticed a difference here. I am seen, and I had this conversation with my lady today. I definitely feel seen up here, but I didn't at home. Reason. Yeah. I walk down the street and I notice people seeing me, whereas in my last job, they I think I said they gave me a gift. They said a little speech about me, and I was a supply teacher. I've been there for 8 months. All of the head teachers made a point of coming up and saying thank you so much for coming and being here with us this year. We couldn't have done it without you. Yeah.
What I'd like you to do, Philippa, is to release the not being seen in New Zealand.
Okay.
So that you change the energy around it there, because then you'll get that true. You won't attract any more of the stuff where you feel like you're not being seen there, so that you can start to feel seen there, because then you'll know where you're truly meant to be, your path, and feel okay maybe doing it feeling settled and in flow, that you've got both lives and not feeling split energy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think also because there was a lot of stuff going. My reputation there was a smear campaign about my reputation, all sorts of things. People attacked my car, all sorts of horrible things went on. I was just trying to get on with my day-to-day business.
I've found that since I've been back at work, I think because I've now got more self-confidence and belief in that, I'm acting differently, and actually I'm putting forward my ideas more. We've got some new management, and I've been speaking to them about almost like a job interview, saying, oh, this is what I'm doing, this is what my background is, so I've done this, that and the other. So then if anything comes up, they're kind of going, oh yeah, she can do this. And I'm just putting myself out there more, just feeling more confident and able to do that. And I think people are probably reacting differently to me, because I'm seeing myself as worthy, so do they.
Yeah, I agree with you, Alison. That's how I felt. That I felt better in myself.
See, I have been, like, in my last major position, I initiated a lot of new things like yoga and meditation for kids and for staff, and the staff followed from me for about 2 years. And I was doing a lot of initiatives, but it wasn't being appreciated or by the management or by the people who were in my team. That doesn't matter. They're not in my team anymore. I don't even know why I think about them. Well, I do, because it's made a huge impact on me, actually.
I say it's still in your energy, isn't it?
What I'd like to do, has Karen or Renee got anything they wanted to talk about specifically for interviews that are coming up? Anything that's coming up?
I kind of wanted to just talk a little bit about maybe answers that people would give to the question about your biggest weakness, because that's the one question that I really don't have a good answer for at all.
So let's do that, and then Philippa at the end will do some healing around the stuff that's coming up for you to take that out of your energy, okay? Okay, so what do people say then to the biggie that Renee's just asked?
I'm just hitting a blank.
Exactly.
Just thinking about what my weakness is, or thinking about what my unique selling point is. Because like USP is such a specific thing. You kind of feel like you have to come up with this unique thing that no one else has, I suppose. But you have to know yourself quite well, quite self-aware, I think, to be able to answer those questions, or do an exercise before the interview of looking at yourself and digging a little bit deep because it's not something that's just there that I just know. I mean, I know what my strengths and my weaknesses are, or what my good points are, but when someone asks you, it's very hard to express that, I think. I know what it is.
I'm just thinking, because I didn't end up attending this course on strengths and weaknesses, but I got sent slides. One thing it was saying about is it's how you use your strengths to work with your weaknesses, to overcome your weaknesses. So I don't know what you should say in an interview, but whether it's a case of, well, sometimes I find this difficult, so I use my whatever X, Y, and Z skills to.
Okay.
I don't know, but I'm just reading from what it put on the slides. I didn't actually attend the course, but that was the general.
Being aware of them is.
That's interesting.
Good to know. If you're aware of what your weaknesses are, so you do, as Alison said, you've got tools that you use to help you with that. Then I think that's, what more can you say, really? It's better than saying, "Oh, I've not got any. I'm perfect," because no one is perfect. Everyone's got weaknesses, but it's how you deal with those, and it's acknowledging that you've got them, but say you've got tools you utilise to make them less of a weakness.
But what if your weakness is something that is really crucial to be strong with in that role?
Then would you say about training? You know, you recognise that you would need training in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, because it could be something to do with technology, or you're not up to play with a certain software or something like that. Or I'm just thinking others that when it comes to people, like I know as a teacher, mine was always marking turnaround. So it would be about prioritizing and or doing small chunks or something like that, coming up with a
solution.
Yeah, doing it immediately and not procrastinating because.
I immediately thought of soft skills, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of, because if you the skills, like the technical skills, if you need to know certain software for your job or whatever, I kind of think that's what you're doing, but it's more the relational skills, managerial skills, dealing with people, difficult conversations, that kind of thing. That's what I immediately thought of. So that's interesting. That's quite a nice way of sidestepping answering that question.
Yeah. And it's the when I used to ask questions like that, I would be looking for insight of, you know, how their self-awareness and areas for development in terms of training that we would need to provide for them potentially. Renee, does that give you something to work with or add to the confusion?
Yeah, I still don't. I mean, my issue is I know what my weaknesses are and my strengths, I think, but picking what I'm going to tell them about is the difficult part, because a lot of like work related weaknesses that like I could say are, you know, needed for the job, some things, you know, so you know, I don't want to point any of those out.
Pick something that isn't related to the job then.
Yeah. Like, I don't like ironing.
Yeah.
I'm really
I like that.
Perfect cleaning.
Yeah, I'm not very good at taking the trash out.
There you go.
I don't like to be told what to do.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's exactly.
My weakness is making drinks of tea, because I don't. That's my weakness.
So I can't do it, you know.
But being serious though, you know, what is one of your weaknesses, and maybe we could help you like reword it or rephrase it that you could apply to the position.
Well, the one thing that I kind of thought about, and I don't know if this is a good one or not, it might be one of those where, yeah, you probably don't want to admit that. But it could be a good one. So I guess you guys could tell me. Maybe I'll have an answer. I was going to say something to the effect of that sometimes I get so busy at work and actually get involved in doing what I'm doing that I forget the importance of like building relationships with people as you're doing the work, and the how. I'm so focused on getting things done that sometimes I don't spend as much on the how as maybe I could. So one thing that I try to, be more aware of now that I know how I've learned over the years how important building relationships and the how of what you do is, maybe not right in that moment at that task, but cumulatively it always becomes important later how you did it. And so I guess I've just learned to think about that in my interactions with people more, and to make that something that I think about actually as I interact with people, rather than just getting, the task done, is, how are they going to feel about the interaction that we had once the task is done, and factoring that into what I do. Yay.
Brilliant answer.
I like that.
I was going to say,
Self-awareness. You think
Yeah.
about people. You've learnt from this. You can take things on board and adapt and change from feedback.
Yeah.
because you can just say, because you say in the past I've found that I've done that, so now I make more of an effort to build that in.
Yeah, I just don't want them to think, oh, she doesn't work well with other people, because that's not the case. It's just that I don't always put the emphasis on the how, because I'm so involved with actually the doing, you know. So I'm much better at the doing, and I'm very consistently, you know, a high performer. But sometimes, you know, I think, oh, I probably, you know, could have maybe handled that a little better if I'd focused more on the how. So,
well, I can kind of relate, because if you're really busy and you're focused on a deadline, like sometimes we have that, and then if I actually don't have time to say to someone, I'll kind of explain to them and say, I'm sorry that I'm not being very communicative, but I've got this deadline and I've got to get it out. But I have noticed that a lot of what makes for good working relationships is the whole social aspect of it, isn't it? That you have to bring in this social element, which can be a real pain if you're just focusing on trying to get the job done.
exactly. Yeah, like that. You have to stop, like when you're instant messaging somebody and interrupting their day. You know, you can't just say, well, some people you can, you know, just ask them a question. And then other times I have to think, okay, is it better that I ask them how they're doing first? And so I've kind of started to do that a lot more, just because I think it, you know, it just builds the relationship. So you're taking an advantage of your, you know, having to do something anyway. With it only takes, you know, another minute or two really to ask that question. So just throwing it out there is, you know, something I do a lot more when, you know, for the first half of my career, I wouldn't have done. You know, I would have been like, okay, we need to get this done. I'm just going to ask the question, hey, can you tell me blah, 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 or whatever. Because I don't have time to, like, care about what your day's like, you know. And really, a lot of times I don't. That's not too far from the truth. But I found that, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't benefit me not to.
So you've learned how to take people with you, Renee.
That's what I did.
So you get the job done and take people with you.
Well, get the job done and try not to piss them off.
And I'm just giving you
Try not
the
to make
language
anybody
that you can use in your interview.
How to avoid the swearing in your interview?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't gonna say that part.
No.
Oh.
But so that's really the only kind of answer I have that isn't either like one of those things where you take you know, I'm too much of a perfectionist, and a lot of times, you know, I spend too much time on something, and, you know, those kind of answers where you're really given a strength that really isn't a weakness. And then, you know, I don't really want to give those kind of answers, even though that's true. I am a perfectionist, and sometimes it is a weakness, but I don't want to give those answers because I don't want people to think that I'm like playing, you know, a game. I just want to really give something honest, but not, you know, too honest. And then, so that's about the only other thing that I've thought of that sounds like something that I could say.
Real, yeah. I think we all liked it, didn't we? From what you were saying.
That's good.
Yeah. Just maybe being a bit more succinct with it.
Yeah.
Practice it and write it down.
Good tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that I've got the one that I think I'll use, yeah, and hopefully they won't ask me for another one, because then I'll really be
I don't have any more.
Yeah, it's like, that's what my challenge is, coming up with any more weaknesses.
Yeah. So true.
It took me so long to get that one together.
If they ask you if you've got any more weaknesses, just tell them you like to focus on your strengths.
Yeah. That's one weakness.
That's a good one. Is there anything else there, Renee, that's coming up for you right now? Oh, can't hear you. For some reason.
Oh,
We've lost sound. Yeah, it's not just me, is it? No one can hear Renee.
has she got her mute on?
No. That's a lot. Do you want to type it in the chat box? Okay. About the personality testing I was mentioning, the disc, Tony Robbins disc. Actually, if you Google Tony Robbins disc, you'll be able to find it. I've got my link in the book. Oh, waiting for da-da-da. I would give examples of questions and answers. Is that for the personality testing or
Interview?
Interview. So there's some great examples. So in the workbook, there's a link of questions that will give you some ideas of things that people might ask you. And if you use that STAR method, it's a wonderful way of giving you some ways of thinking about the answers.
Can you hear me?
Oh yes, there you are. Hello. Sorry. Something about personality testing you mentioned, and you wish you had examples of questions and answers. You were saying.
Yeah, there's the U.S. Post Office here actually has a personality test that you have to take as part of the process, and they had a bunch of weird questions on there. And I know from before when I answered those types of questions when I was like really young and I was applying to work at a bowling alley actually, and I answered all the questions like the way I gave like what I thought the perfect answer would be. Like, you know, like the question would be something about if you're working at a company, you know, do you think it's okay to take home pens and pencils with you? A question like that. And I said no. And just about all the questions that were like that, if there was any sort of like sketchiness to the answer, I erred on the side of giving like, you know, the most conservative black and white answer, you know. And I didn't get that job. And I think it's completely because I answered that questionnaire not really realistically. So when I saw the post office one, and I was thinking that's kind of one of my backup plan jobs, that I was looking at all those questions, and I wish I had gotten some of those together, but I didn't even think about that for this call until you'd mentioned the personality testing. But they do have that, and you know, there was questions in there about like just the thing. It kind of forced you to answer one way or another, and neither one of them was like a great answer.
Just answer them instinctively and go with, because you can't fudge them because of the way. So like I've done them so many times, but also your personality does adapt and change over time. You've done. So I think the key with them is just to go and don't worry about whether that one it would be. I'm kind of equal on both. Just with whatever you go for will be the one that you go for. Does that help?
Yeah. Yeah, they were just really, really tough ones to pick.
Yeah.
So I was trying to look up some of the examples to like just give you a couple just to, because they would have been like good to talk through in this, like, just to get a sense of like the mentality of, you know, like how you should answer the questions. Like the obvious ones are pretty easy, but then, you know, there's some that they just force you to answer, and neither answer is really a good answer. So it's
just answer them without thinking about it. You just have to go with what you think first. And what I found with all these personality questionnaires is that they ask the same sort of question over and over again, but in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
and it's quite frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's if there's any you want to post them in the Facebook group, if you want some, some more thoughts on that, Renee.
Okay. Yeah, if I hunt them down, I will. I was having trouble finding those practice tests, but okay.
Cool. And I'm conscious of everybody's time. So, Karen, did you have anything else that you wanted to?
Well, no, I mean, I came late to the meeting, so no, I can't think of anything. I've applied for, I've applied for a role which used to be, I used to be design manager in travel guides, and then I got made at my company, which is Dorling Kindersley, and I got made redundant 5 years ago, which was great. And because I've always wanted to work for myself, and then I've kind of been freelancing, contracting for the last 5 years, and I've always had, because I've had such a circuitous route in my career, and I studied fine art, not design, I've always had insecurities about my creativity and how much experience I've had designing books here compared to all the other, and yet I know that I'm good, but I've got insecurities. And now I'm on contract and I've been working hands-on, which I much prefer, because I started getting very stressed when my anxiety started actually when I got my first management job, which is what I used to do, but I loved it. And it was very stressful as well. So I was really relieved to leave it behind. But now they've just done a whole revamp of the travel guides, and they're looking a lot better. And they're advertising for a role just for a year, a design manager basically. So I applied for it because I kept asking my sway, and it said go for it. And I thought, why am I doing this? Because I don't think I'm going backwards, but I thought, why am I doing this? Because I didn't want the stress of management. And I know ultimately I want to start work for myself. I really do. So this is it's more money. That was one of the motivators. It'll be more money. And it's kind of, I'm getting a bit bored with the books I'm designing. I'm kind of getting bored and I need a change. So it'll be creative in a different way because there's a lot of organizing, and it will be a lot more, obviously managing is a lot more people facing. And I've been able, especially because I was grieving the last couple of years, I've been able to hide away and work on books and not get too involved in the politics. But I don't think I'll get to it anyway. So I've applied for this role. They probably have to give me an interview. I haven't heard anything yet, but because I'm there in-house, they'll have to give me an interview. And I had all these insecurities about, I know I've got all the skills, and I know I've even got the creative skills, but one of the things said, most importantly, it needs to be a creative person that pushes creative boundaries. And I don't know if I've demonstrated that. But now, and I don't even know if I want it. So, and I don't want to be disappointed if I don't get it. So, but I think that's what's going on. I don't really have any questions. I think I just have to do EAM work. I think the thing is that I'm not quite sure whether it's not taking me in my, I think I need to align with the fact that it's a stepping stone, and it will help me kind of build a bit more security financially, so in a year's time I can probably be able to move off to working for myself. And it buys me another year of, I'm going to have to work part-time on developing, because working for myself, I think what I'll have to do is do design and develop the stationery that I want to do. I'm developing stationery straight away is not going to bring money in. So I just have to, I'm in two minds about it, and then I've gone for the role. And then I don't kind of want, if I go for it and don't get it, it's the art director who looks after my team as well, and I know them, and then I'm just self-conscious about being this freelancer, and now suddenly, anyway, it's just a bit confusing. But
so it does sound like you're not aligned with it at the moment, and like you say, it's getting yourself into alignment with it being a stepping stone, if that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, because I don't want to resist it if it might be a good thing. But there's part of the history of me thinking I'm going backwards, because I'm going back to what I thought I was leaving behind. But it's a different situation. It's just,
release that belief that it's going backwards.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering whether this job might enable you to develop skills that you aren't so strong in, and maybe that's what the stepping stone is. So you're learning in that environment, and then you're using whatever that skill is when you're going back to working for yourself.
I think you're right, because I've been hiding away from people facing, because I got tired with managing and just dealing with people and managing other people's lives all day, and I've gone back to doing what I love, which is the creative side. That's what I love to do. But if I'm going to run my own business, I need to get my strength up on those other business type skills again, that, time management, all those things that I've just got so fed up with. I kind of wanted a break from. But you can't run a business if you aren't practiced in that side of things. So yeah, I think you're right. I'm sure there must be a reason why the sway said definitely, because I kept asking and I wanted it to say no, and it just kept saying yes.
God damn you, Sway!
How annoying when it does that.
Things come in circles as well. So yeah, you're coming back to revisit it, like
yes,
you said, but you're in a different space to where you were when you were there last time, because there's something that just needs to be completed. Or
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I'll work on the alignment of actually being aligned to wanting the job when I go for the interview then.
Yeah. And if you download the workbook, once I've uploaded it, there'll be some questions in there that will be really helpful.
Okay.
Giving you some clarity around that.
Okay.
Now, how's everybody doing? Because I booked out until 9 o'clock for our session together today, and I know that there's some work to do for Philippa. So it's whether we spend sort of 15 minutes doing that now, or we weave it into one of the Q&As coming up. Does anyone need to jump off quickly? Or are you all right for the next?
I'm going to go in a minute, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Okay.
And I probably should do as well, actually.
Okay, I just wanted to kind of get that. So does Lisa, Karen and Renee, do you want to stay on, or would you like to?
I'm okay to stay on.
Yeah?
Kind of thing.
Yeah, if it's 10-15 minutes, that's fine. I'm not eating. I'm a bit starving.
Okay. So Philippa, let's see what we can do in the next 15 minutes. And I think it would be really helpful having Lisa here because of her insight and experience with this as well.
I'm going to duck out before you start.
Okay, thanks, Ruth.
Tomorrow.
Bye, Ruth.
Bye.
Bye. Website. Thank you so much.
Okay. So the energy that we were picking up on, so let me just get my notes, there was this heaviness. There's something in your vibration that you're still attracting to do with New Zealand.
There's a lot of sadness.
So let's start with the sadness. So when you feel about the sadness in New Zealand, where do you feel it?
My throat.
Your throat. Okay, how does it feel in your throat? Is it spiky? Is it heavy? Is it hard?
It's like a lump, and it needs to come out.
Okay.
It's like a heavy stone in my throat.
Stone in my throat. Yeah. Okay, let's get rid of this out of your energy, and anything that comes to light as we're doing this, let us know. And then Lisa, Renee, and Karen, any insights that you get as we're doing this, if you get any intuitive thoughts, then let us know, or pop it in the chat so that we can pick it up and check in on that as well. Okay, so nice deep breath, Philippa. And then you can say, I'm ready to release.
I'm ready to release.
This stone in my throat.
Stone in my throat.
When I feel sadness about my time in New Zealand.
I feel sadness about my time in New Zealand.
I release this from my energy.
Release it from my energy.
In all forms. On all levels. At all points in time. Nice deep breath in and out. I'm ready to release.
I'm ready to release.
This stone in my throat.
Stone in my throat and this sharp pain in my left hip.
Okay, and this sharp pain in my left side. Did you laugh? Where is it?
My left hip.
Left hip. I release this from my energy.
I release this from my energy.
In all forms.
All forms.
On all levels.
all levels,
at all points in time.
points in time.
Nice deep breath in and out. I'm ready to release
I'm ready to release
this stone in my throat,
the stone in my throat,
the sharp pain in my left hip
sharp pain in my left hip.
when I think about the sadness in New Zealand.
I think about the sadness in New Zealand.
I release this from my energy
Release this from my energy,
in all forms,
all forms,
on all levels,
all levels,
at all points in time.
and all points in time.
Yeah, you're yawning. Awesome. Nice deep breath in and out. I'm ready to release
I'm ready to release
this stone in my throat
the stone in my throat,
and sharp pain in my left hip
sharp pain in my left hip,
when I feel sadness about New Zealand.
sadness about New Zealand.
I release this from my energy
Release this from my energy,
in all forms,
all forms,
on all levels,
all levels,
at all points in time.
all points in time.
Nice deep breath in and out. I'm ready to release
I'm ready to release
this stone in my throat
stone in my throat,
and sharp pain in my left hip
sharp pain in my left hip,
when I feel sadness about New Zealand.
the sadness about New Zealand.
I release this from my energy
Release this from my energy,
in all forms,
all forms,
on all levels,
all levels,
at all points in time.
all points in time.
Okay, can you still feel it? Does it feel less? Has it moved? Was it gone?
It's into my left shoulder, just around my scapula, around here.
Okay,
And there's tears in my eyes. They're not crying tears.
that's the energy releasing. Okay, I'm ready to release
I'm ready to release
this pain in my left shoulder
pain in my left shoulder,
when I feel sadness about New Zealand.
the sadness about New Zealand.
Release this from my energy
Release this in my energy,
in all forms,
forms,
on all levels,
all levels,
at all points in time.
points in time.
Nice deep breath in and out. I'm ready to release
I'm ready to release
this pain in my left shoulder
pain in my left shoulder,
when I feel sadness about New Zealand.
sadness about New Zealand.
Release this from my energy
Release this from my energy,
in all forms,
forms,
on all levels,
levels,
at all points in time.
points in time.
Okay, one more time. I'm ready to release
I'm ready to release
this pain in my left shoulder
pain in my left shoulder,
when I feel sadness in New Zealand.
the sadness about New Zealand.
I release this from my energy
Release this from my energy,
in all forms,
all forms,
on all levels,
all levels,
at all points in time.
all points in time.
Nice deep breath in and out. Okay, have I released
Have I released
this sadness in New Zealand?
feelings of sadness when I think about New Zealand?
Awesome.
Up through my shoulder.
Say that again.
I feel that moving up through my shoulder.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
It's coming out.
still there, but
Yeah. Do I need to release any more sadness? Can you double check that? Do I need to release any more sadness to do with New Zealand?
do I need to release any more sadness to do with New Zealand?
Yeah. Okay. Can we just check in? Is it an emotion?
What is it? What?
I want to just check in as, do we need to link it with an emotion or belief? So can you just say, do I need to release sadness linked with an emotion? I know that sounds bonkers, but
Do I need to release a sadness linked to an emotion when I think about New Zealand?
yeah. And do I need to release sadness linked with a belief?
Do I need to release sadness linked with belief when I think about New Zealand?
No, it's another emotion. Okay. Is the emotion grief?
It's the emotion grief that I need to release when I feel about New Zealand?
Yeah. Okay.
I want to ask about anger as well.
Okay, ask about anger.
What's the emotion anger that I need to release when I feel about New Zealand?
Yeah.
Can I ask it again? I don't know if I was telling it.
Yeah, do.
What's the emotion anger I need to release when I feel about New Zealand?
Yeah.
That's what came up, anger and sadness.
Yeah. Let's release those ones to start with, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm ready to release
I'm ready to release
this grief and anger
grief and anger
and sadness
and sadness
when I think about New Zealand.
think about New Zealand.
I release this from my energy
This is from my energy
in all forms, on all levels,
levels,
at all points in time.
control.
Nice deep breath in and out. I'm ready to release
I'm ready to release
this grief, anger and sadness
grief, anger and sadness.
when I think about New Zealand.
Think about my experiences in New Zealand.
I release this from my energy
This is from my energy
in all forms, on all levels, at all points in time.
points in time.
Nice deep breath in and out. Release.
Just change that slightly.
Yeah.
Is that all right? Or
Yeah, yeah. What do you want to change it to, Philippa?
When I think about my experiences,
Okay. I'm ready to release
I'm ready to release
this grief, anger and sadness
grief, anger and sadness.
when I think about my experiences
I think about my experiences
in New Zealand. I release this from my energy
This is from my energy
in all forms, on all levels, at all points in time. Nice deep breath in and out. Ready to release.
I'm now feeling this is my split personality coming through.
Yeah.
I'm now feeling I should just keep it as New Zealand.
That it should be grief about New Zealand.
Yeah, just New Zealand, because the experiences feel like I'm living in my past. I don't want to live in my past.
Okay, but we're releasing those experiences from our energy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready to release this grief, anger, and sadness when I think about my experiences in New Zealand.
I release this from my energy
I release this from my energy
in all forms,
in all forms,
on all levels,
all levels,
at all points in time.
all points in time.
Nice deep breath in and out. Okay, can you just check in and say, have I released this grief, anger and sadness?
Have I released this grief, anger, and sadness when I think about my experiences in New Zealand?
No. Okay, let's find out which one's there. Have I got grief when I think about my experiences in New Zealand?
Have I got grief when I think about my experience in New Zealand?
No. Have I got anger when I think about my experience in New Zealand?
Have I got anger when I think about my experience in New Zealand?
Yeah. Okay. And have I got sadness when I think about my experience in New Zealand?
I've got sadness when I think about my experience in New Zealand.
Okay, so we're going to release grief, anger and sadness. And then what we'll do is we'll seal it up with a positive, and we'll have some homework to do. And we can finish this off in the next Q&A. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, I know, it's getting late.
Okay, so I'm ready to release
I'm ready to release
this anger and sadness
anger and sadness
when I think about the experiences in New Zealand.
about my experiences in New Zealand.
I release this from my energy
This is from my energy
in all forms, on all levels,
levels,
at all points in time.
points in time.
Nice deep breath in and out. I'm ready to release
I'm ready to release
this anger and sadness.
anger and sadness.
I think about my experiences in New Zealand.
About my experiences in New Zealand.
I release this from my energy
This is for my energy.
in all forms,
Forms,
on all levels,
levels,
at all points in time.
points in time.
Nice deep breath in and out. I'm ready to release
I'm ready to release
this anger and sadness
anger and sadness.
when I think about my experiences in New Zealand.
Think about my experiences in New Zealand.
Release this from my energy
Release this from my energy.
in all forms,
All forms,
on all levels,
levels,
at all points in time.
all points of time.
Nice deep breath in and out. Okay. Have I released the anger and sadness?
Have I released the anger and sadness when I think about my experiences in New Zealand?
Okay, awesome. So we're going to do step 5, Philippa, and then there'll be some more work, obviously, to do around this, which we can do with the bubble method. I can support you with it in a Q&A and also some homework things to do. So how would you like to feel? What would you like to feel instead of holding that anger and sadness inside of you?
How would I like to feel? The word that's coming to mind is at peace.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay.
Let it go, yeah, at peace, and just
Yeah.
yeah, at peace.
So I'm ready to allow myself to feel at peace
I'm ready now for myself to feel at peace
about my experiences in New Zealand.
about my experiences in New Zealand.
I allow this into my energy
Allow this into my energy,
in all forms,
all forms,
on all levels,
all levels,
at all points in time.
all points in time.
Nice deep breath in and out. I'm ready to allow
I'm ready to allow
myself to be at peace
this feeling of peace
to do with my experiences in New Zealand.
with my experiences in New Zealand.
I allow this into my energy
Allow this into my energy,
in all forms,
all forms,
on all levels,
all levels,
at all points in time.
all points in time.
I'm ready to allow
I'm ready to allow
myself to be at peace
myself to feel at peace
to do with my experiences in New Zealand.
with my experiences in New Zealand.
I allow this into my energy
Allow this into my energy,
in all forms,
all
on all levels,
levels,
at all points in time.
all points in time.
And then I love you to imagine a lovely whitish, pinkish light sharing over you, peace and calm. Okay. So if you say I feel peace about my experiences in New Zealand, let's see if that's embedded or if that's some homework to embed in.
Zealand.
Hurrah! Well done.
I feel
Yay!
experiences in New Zealand.
Yes. We want
Yay.
more of that. Well done.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for supporting me, Lisa and Renee and Karen.
Thanks, guys, for holding that space for Philippa.
Because it was really big.
Anytime.
It's important. I think everyone was spotting that, so we needed to support you.
Yeah, thank you.
So the homework really is in terms of thinking about some of these. If you look at the bubbles method, ask, is there anything else I need to release about my experiences in New Zealand? And then look at thoughts and beliefs. Any other emotions, see if there's any other emotions there. people and checking on situations, and just kind of start to work your way through there. Because like Lisa was saying, is once you've done this, your whole vibration is going to shift around that, and it will therefore, you'll feel more aligned in the direction that you're going, whichever way it's going to be, rather than this split energy.
Excellent. Well, I have time now.
Yay. Let us know how you go.
Cool.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, much love, everybody. Thanks for your time this evening, and I hope you've got lots of value from spending that time on this one subject.
Thank you.
I'm not going to be there tomorrow.
Oh,
But I was, because I'm on annual leave this week, I was going to do the Friday.
perfect. That's fine. Yeah.
Because then I've only got one more week. So, I know. If I'm not doing anything tomorrow night, my daughter wants to go and watch Mamma Mia. And if it doesn't happen, then I'll catch the call.
Okay. We might see you then. If not, we'll see you on Friday.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Take care. Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.